What is up guys, Jarv here, back today jumping into Destiny. In today's video we have a full guide on how you can get your hands on the Winterbite exotic Glaive. This is a brand new power Stasis Glaive that's launched alongside Lightfall. So if you want to find out how to get your hands on it, then be sure to stick around and enjoy the video. If you do enjoy the video, be sure to leave a comment and rating down below. And remember to subscribe for more Destiny 2 content. But without further delay guys, let's jump into the video. Now with each and every expansion we get brand new exotic quests, and Lightfall is no different. Now upon completing the main campaign, you'll be able to gain access to the Archivist. You'll find this over in the Hall of Heroes, which is just north of Nimbus and right next to the Puka Pond. Now it is possible to unlock a fast travel point directly to the Hall of Heroes by ranking up Nimbus over in Neomuna. This will save you a lot of time as you'll be visiting the Hall of Heroes on a regular basis throughout this quest. Now once you arrive and speak to the Archivist, you'll get the Welcome to the Hall of Heroes quest. Here you'll need to explore the Hall of Heroes and visit all the damaged memorials to learn more about them and see what data can be salvaged. Now there are 8 in total, but don't worry, each one has a waypoint and they are all in close proximity to each other. Now once you've scanned all 8, the Archivist will want to discuss a new use for Strand, and that will complete the first step of the exotic quest. Now after speaking to the Archivist, she'll grant you the Stargazer quest. Now the first step of this requires you to loot a terminal overload reward chest at the end of the activity. Now you can spawn directly into this using the terminal overload icon on your director, and this will be in one of 3 locations which rotates on a daily basis. Now once you've completed the terminal overload, you only need to loot the normal reward chest, and by doing so this will bring us on to the next step. Now for step 2, we'll need to defeat the Vex Hydra in the Esne terminal. Now if you're not too sure where this zone is, you can find this just off the Zypher concourse, heading towards the weekly mission icon on your Neomuna map. If you head in this direction and follow the route that you see that I'm taking here, this will take you directly there where you can take out the Hydra. Now once the Hydra is defeated, this will grant you a high security passcode. Now with that passcode in hand, we'll now need to obtain a terminal overload key, and you can get your hands on this by completing public events, looting chests, or by completing patrols on Neomuna. Now the chances of getting a terminal overload key are reliant on RNG, and I was lucky enough to get mine from looting a regular destination chest. Now once you have your hands on the terminal overload key, you'll need to use this in the terminal overload activity to open the additional reward chest at the very end. And once you've completed that, you'll be summoned to the Hall of Heroes to repair the Stargazer's memorial. Now once we've repaired the memorial and spoken to the Archivist, this will complete the Stargazer quest. Now once speaking to the Archivist, she'll grant you a new quest called Maelstrom, and for the first step we'll need to bond with Strand sources and participate in public events, patrols, and loot resources, all within the Vex Incursion Zone. Now if you're not too sure where the Vex Incursion Zone is, you can find this on your Neomuna map. Now if you look closely, there's a raining matrix effect over the Vex Incursion Zone, so you'll need to complete public events, patrols, and loot resources in that area, and the Strand sources can also spawn randomly in that zone too. Now you'll need to bond with those Strand sources on 2 occasions. Now these Strand sources will grant you unlimited energy for a brief time, allowing you to really get your hands on Strand and make the most of those Guardian swinging abilities. Now once you've completed the first step, you'll then need to complete a lost sector in the Vex Incursion Zone, and that will vary depending on where the Incursion Zone is on any particular day. So as we mentioned earlier, make note of that raining matrix effect and complete the lost sector in that area to complete the second step. And once you've completed the lost sector, you'll need to return to the Hall of Heroes once again, this time to repair the Maelstrom memorial. Now as before, once we've repaired that memorial, we'll be able to speak to the Archivist for the third main part of this quest. Now this quest is called Bluejay, and for the very first part, we'll need to simply visit Nimbus. Now Nimbus will ask us to defeat combatants in the Vex Incursion Zone once again with the Strand subclass equipped in order to obtain shellcode fragments. Now these fragments are an RNG drop, so they won't drop from every combatant that you defeat with Strand, but as long as you're using your Strand abilities to take out your targets, then they have a very decent drop chance overall. Now as well as earning those shellcode fragments, we'll also need to open a terminal overload key chest in order to obtain a polymorphic engine. Now, as with one of the previous steps of this quest, you'll need to jump back into the terminal overload activity and open the second reward chest, which will grant you that particular item. Now, with the Polymorphic engine in hand, we can now access the partition activity. Now, this is one of my favorite parts of the entire quest and is a very unique and fun mission to play. Now, we aren't going to spoil too much of that mission here, but once you complete it though, you'll need to head back to the Hall of Heroes to repair the Bluejay's memorial. And as before with all the previous steps, we'll need to once again speak to the Archivist, which will grant us the final quest called Strider. And this is the exotic quest we need to complete to get our hands on the Winterbite exotic. Now, after picking up this quest and speaking to the Archivist, we'll need to earn and use terminal overload keys to open chests in each of the 3 areas of Neomuna. Now, the terminal overload activity does rotate on a daily basis, so you'll need to complete this step of the quest over the course of 3 days to unlock 3 unique chests, one for each area of Neomuna. Now remember, you can earn terminal overload keys by running the activity, completing public events, or just opening loot chests on Neomuna. And once you've completed that over the course of 3 days, this brings us on to the 3rd step, where we need to defeat Shadow Legion forces in Neomuna to find location data. And on top of that, we'll need to dive into the Ahimsa Park Lost Sector for a data cipher so we can put all this data together. Now once you've collected all the data and the data cipher and put all that data together, then the Archivist will want to discuss those findings. After speaking to the Archivist, we'll need to approach the Strider's memorial in order to repair it. Now in doing so, this brings us on to the penultimate step of the quest, and we'll need to destroy Hydras and shut down the confluxes in Maya's retreat. Now once again, if you're not too sure where this is, you can find this on your Neomuna map in the director, and you'll find it right here in this location. And once we've taken out the Hydra and shut down those confluxes, we'll be summoned once again to the Archivist to pick up our exotic reward. And in doing so, we'll finally have our hands on the Winterbite exotic Glaive. As we mentioned at the beginning of the video, this is the first power Glaive in Destiny, which is Stasis. Now this has the exotic perk Big Frigid Glaive, and this fires a large ball of energy that locks onto nearby targets and freezes them. And as a heavy glaive, it has a unique exotic trait called Weighted Edge, and this weapon's melee attack deals increased damage, and the weapon slows targets when loaded with ammo. Now, as well as those exotic traits, it has super cooled Accelerator that is optimized for range, on top of Alloy Magazine for faster reloads when the magazine is empty, as well as the legendary trait called Tilting at Windmills, which is where blocking damage with your shield increases movement speed while shielding. All in all, this is shaping up to be an absolutely awesome weapon, and one that is well worth the effort in order to pick it up. So there we have it guys, a full and comprehensive guide on how to get your hands on the Winterbite's exotic Glaive. Now if you've enjoyed this video, be sure to check out one of the 2 videos you see here in these cards for more Destiny 2 content. And if you want to keep up to date with everything to do with Destiny 2, then be sure to hit subscribe as well. I'm going to jump into the game as always guys, and I will catch you all again very soon.